Hello and welcome to Dollars and Cents, the Australia Institute podcast where we're talking about just what the hell is going on in the economy. I'm Elinor Johnston-Leigh, the senior content producer here at the Australia Institute, and as always, I'm talking to our chief economist, Greg Jericho. Hello, Greg. How are we?
I'm good, Elinor. For listeners, this is our third go at the intro. We're very professional here at Dollars and Cents. One take.
Yeah, we both have hay fever and it's going so well for us. Yeah,
really is going beautifully.
Yeah. All right, Greg, last week we talked about how Trump was introducing 100% additional tariffs on China in a bit of a dispute over rare earths. We talked about how Australia actually has a lot of rare earths and our government's been sort of angling for a US-Australia rare earths deal. Well, Albanese met with Trump this week and by golly, he's done it.
Wow.
We are discussing critical minerals and rare earths.
Today's agreement on critical minerals and rare earths is just taking it to the next level, seizing those opportunities which are before us.
The deal could involve up to $8.5 billion in projects, focusing on minerals like lithium and silicone, which are essential for modern technology.
In about a year from now, we'll have so much critical mineral and rare earths that you won't know what to do with them. They'll be worth about $2.
We have our brand new shiny rare earth deal with the US, which everyone's very excited about. I think we're also just very excited that, you know, our meeting with Trump didn't go as terribly as a lot of other previous world leaders' meetings did.
Yeah, he didn't get abused and sworn at, and
I mean, Kevin Rudd a little bit.
Kevin Rudd did, but everyone's okay with that.
Everyone saw that coming, including Kevin Rudd.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, all the media coverage very much followed the squirrel of Kevin Rudd got called out by Donald Trump. It was a bit of a setup from Sky News' Andrew Clanor, who asked the question, kind of said, oh, and by the way, this guy.
This bloke that you don't like is here.
Yeah, and Trump would never have even heard of Rudd before or even remembered, or probably still has forgotten him already. But yeah, the big news was rare earths. It was all rare, all earths. And
all the time.
All the time. And a big deal signed.
So what is this? What's the deal? What do we get out of it?
Yeah, the deal, if everyone, when it was reported, we were seeing these money thrown around of $8.5 billion. It's not an $8.5 billion deal. There's potential for $8.5 billion in supply. You know, it's all a bit rubbery there. What they essentially came down to was agreeing that, okay, Australia does have a lot of these rare earths. America needs a lot of rare earths because at the moment it gets 70% of its rare earths from China.
And that's not going so well right now.
Not going so well, and it's pretty important, especially when America uses rare earths for a lot of its defense systems. So kind of not great when you spend most of your time referring to China as enemy number one, and enemy number one is the one that is selling you the stuff you need to fight enemy number one. So, yeah, it was all about making a bit of a deal, and the deal is that both America and Australia governments will put in $1 billion US, so about $1.5 billion Australian in the next 6 months, towards developing and getting sort of various projects started and helping them along. Now, that sounds great, wonderful, win-win. Problem is when you look at the media release of the agreement, point 3 was permitting. And we're just thinking, okay, what's going on there? And they basically, both sides commit to reducing any regulation and speeding up and fast-tracking approval processes for both mining, for processing, refining, all of these things.
So cutting our good old friend red tape.
Yeah. So basically absolutely shitting on the environment is the name of the game here.
Yep.
It really is basically saying we commit to ignoring all sort of environmental and cultural concerns. And one of the things about, and we talked about this last week, you know, these rare earths are not rare. the difficulty is they're really small, and you're essentially have the refining process is pretty dirty, pretty tough. That's China's not so concerned about those things. And if we're here in Australia dropping all environmental concerns about that, that means we're going to have a pretty dirty refining process to refine these rare earths that are going to be sent off to America to help build fighter jets and defense systems and things.
Yeah.
And it's like, because that's part of the deal as well, that both sides are going to sort of give priority to each other, which essentially means Australia will give priority to America to get these things from us. And so it's not even a case of it's going into renewable energy systems that actually could do some good. It's basically we're going to have this dirty process to, build more weapons. And it's like, yeah, okay, great.
This is like a Fern Gully storyline.
Yeah. I mean, okay, it's good that we might be processing some of the rare earths here rather than just shipping them off as we always do with iron ore and coal and everything else. But it seems like we're going about it in a pretty poor way. And also don't think that this is all just, it'll be out of sight and out of mind like a lot of our mining is, and it's all up in the Northern Territory and things like this, which is a terrible way to think about it. But we're already seeing sites around Victoria, like in fairly good farming area in Victoria, rural areas of Victoria, where it's like, oh, good, these are possible areas for mining. And it's like, okay, where are you going to be refining them? And it's just, as we've seen with reports this week about the Environmental Protection Act and not ruling out having a climate trigger and everything, as soon as there is any suggestion that, maybe we need to worry about the environment, that just gets flicked away very quickly.
Yeah. Also at the very same meeting that Albanese had with Trump also seemed to leave a bit of a door open with Xi. He said that he's still going to reach a, quote, fantastic deal.
I think that China will come to the table and make a very fair deal, because if they don't, they're going to be paying us 157% in tariffs.
So does it seem like, after all, we're still not, daddy's number one boy?
Well, I mean, the problem for America is that, as I say, they get 70% of their rare earths from China. China has about half of the rare earth deposits. It extracts about 70% of the world's rare earths, and it refines about 90% of them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, great, we're going to do deals and we're trying to ramp up our production, but that doesn't happen quickly. It takes time. So America needs these rare earths for all their systems, their defense systems.
Department of War systems.
Yeah.
Yep.
So now you might think China then has basically the whip handle. We can do whatever we want. And yes, to an extent it can. And also it doesn't, it also exports a lot of rare earths to Europe and other places as well. So it's not like America's its only market, not at all. But one thing that China does need that America has is chips, as in technology.
Computer chips.
Computer chips.
Yeah.
And they get most of their computer chips from America. They're ramping up their own chip production, but they're not they're not there yet in line with America. And so it's not a case of America has nothing to offer, but China can do without America at the moment more than America can do without China. And so, big, wonderful deal. We know with Trump that generally means agreeing to something that was already in place, and he makes it sound like he's negotiated this great win. And everyone's
like China's backed down.
Yeah, China's backed down. It's like, that was what you were doing already, with maybe a few things that China didn't give a damn about, but they offered so he can claim a win. A bit like with Australia. I mean, we had this big thing, and then you ask about AUKUS, and it's like, nothing's really changed there. Are we going to be guaranteed to get any ships?
Yeah, well, the media was making a bit of a frenzy about, Trump supposedly confirming that we're going to get the submarines, and it's just like, well, this is coming from him.
Yeah.
What does that?
He can confirm all he wants. The reality is when these subs are finally built, it's up to America to decide whether or not they have a surplus and will give them to us. And, they do not have a surplus of subs. They are fully behind. We're paying them stonks of money to try and increase their production. Trump can say whatever he likes. He's not going to be around in 15 years. And the US government then can say, so what? Then no one's going to hold you to what Donald Trump said in 2025. So there was nothing done about, as our colleague Emma Shortis has pointed out repeatedly, there is nothing in AUKUS that guarantees us getting anything. We're paying lots of money and US doesn't have to give us a damn thing. Nothing's changed. And the reason why Trump keeps committing to AUKUS is because, he knows a good con when he sees one. We're paying these people for nothing. He loves that. So the fact that Trump is in favor of a trade deal really should be a red siren of just how bad that trade deal is.
Yeah. Now, Greg, there was some pretty interesting stories in the news this week that, I don't know, gave me a bit of a throwback to COVID times in lines of people lining up to buy physical assets, except instead of toilet paper, it was gold and silver.
The price of gold is soaring and Australians are cashing in, flogging old jewellery to make extra money.
Australians are lining up to buy gold, even though the price of the precious metal has never been higher.
It hit another record this week and is now up 70% so far this year. A lot of that run-up happening in the last 2 months.
The people queuing up outside the bullion shop aren't panicking about an uncertain world. They're speculating, hoping to sell it to someone else quite soon for more than they paid.
There were stories in the news about people lining up in Martin Place in Sydney to buy gold. Obviously, we all know buying gold as an asset is a thing people do. But how much is buying gold in person really a thing that people do as an investment?
I guess we should step back and say, why would you buy gold?
Yeah.
You can understand you'd buy gold if you're a jeweler or something like that. But why are we buying gold? The reason people buy gold, and this is investors or anybody buy gold, is because it's a pretty safe asset. The price of gold doesn't generally plunge much. It's pretty steady. Basically because if you buy gold, unlike if I want to buy BHP shares, I buy BHP shares, I can do it online and no one sends me here's a certificate of all your shares or anything, and I don't need to have them on my person. They're on the computer somewhere, so I can buy as many as I want. I can sell them, buy them. If you buy gold, you actually have to buy gold.
Yep.
You actually have to then go, now I've got to store this gold somewhere. This is why they're all lining up at the ABC bullion store in Martin Place, because not only can you buy gold there, but they also are able to store it there. You don't have to store it. I mean, people buy an ingot and, use it as a bit of a paperweight or something.
Yeah,
or,
gold's pretty heavy. How much gold can you physically carry away from?
Well, put it this way. The price of gold at the moment is around, I don't know, a bit over $4,200 US an ounce.
Okay.
An ounce.
Yeah.
So it's, you're not out there buying kilograms and bars of gold unless you've got some serious money.
Yeah.
So why are people buying gold at the moment? Well, look, Donald Trump. I mean,
it always comes back to Donald Trump right now.
Trump is scaring the horses, shall we say. People are like, do I invest in these companies when he's then threatening tariffs? Is that good, bad? The US dollar has fallen in value over the past 9 months. The US dollar is historically a nice sort of safe investment. US interest rates are falling, so I don't want to hold US dollars because I'm not getting a good return on them. When things are a bit scary, people flock to gold.
It does sort of it's giving doomsday prepper a little bit.
But the problem is things have been so uncertain, so I guess scary because people are looking at Donald Trump going, this is just insane, that gold has really surged in price. So to give you, at the start of the year, it was about 2,600 US an ounce. Now we're looking at about 4,200.
Okay.
So huge increase in value and a massive surge in value since the end of August. So that suddenly has people thinking, oh, I better get into gold, and suddenly it has people lining up to buy gold.
But if people are lining up to buy gold because supposedly the price is pretty stable, and then all these people are lining up to buy gold and the price is increasing a lot, surely that's not sustainable.
Yeah, this is the thing, and it's a lot of investors are like, when you see people lining up for something, that's a good sign to start selling.
Yeah.
Because that has all the makings of a bubble. And that's what we saw this week, where we did see in one day the price of gold fell 6%.
Yeah.
And that's, and you'd have people go, oh, no, this is terrible. Well, it's a case of, again, you shouldn't be investing in gold because you think you're going to make money in a month. It's not like, oh, I bought this on this stock because I think there's going to be a good project that's going to get me some quick returns. No, gold. The reason why gold is stable is because it's a good long-term thing. But what's happened is we've seen a lot of people buying it for short-term reasons, which has seen the price jack up, which has turned this supposedly safe commodity into one that is this as safe as we all thought it would be.
Gold became a meme coin for a brief moment in time.
So
what times we live in.
So as I'm not a financial advisor, I've never bought gold. But again, it's stable. The underlying price is stable because it is essentially linked to how much gold there is. And because you actually have to hold that gold somewhere. So will there be a reaction to this? Probably, because it's just been absurd. We don't normally see people lining up for gold. But,
a gold rush.
But as I say, Donald Trump has created, it takes some doing to essentially make gold as you say, into something like a meme coin. And Donald Trump has done it.
Yeah. What can't that man do? I did also see a story in the ABC this week about a man who was arrested and the police seized $9,000 worth of stolen Labubus. So it's not just gold that people are investing in.
I mean, it reminded me, I think back in the 90s or late 90s or something, the Beanie Babies again. There was heists of them
physical
and
assets
everything.
Than you think. Yep.
For security.
So tell me, Dr. Leigh, how do you stop price gouging?
Well, the bill will have a broad prohibition against charging excessive prices, and it will be up to the courts to determine whether the supermarkets are charging excessive prices.
But for that to be anything other than just good intentions, won't you actually have to have an enforceable cap on a rate of return?
What we've got is multi-million-dollar penalties, which will apply if the supermarkets do the wrong thing.
Okay. Also in the news this week, very exciting news. The Assistant Minister of Competition, Andrew Leigh, has released draft legislation to stop supermarkets price gouging. Apparently, supermarkets could face fines of up to $10 million if they are caught price gouging. So this comes after the ACCC supermarket inquiry found that Coles and Woolies have a, quote, limited incentive to compete on prices, which is, I think, a very polite way of putting it. I would like Angus, our podcast producer, to hear roll clips of Greg saying that this is exactly what they should be doing from over previous episodes and media appearances. Thank you.
But is it actually happening, though? Because the supermarket report didn't find any evidence of it.
They really weren't looking for any evidence because it's not within the remit. As Prime Minister Albanese said today, it's not illegal at the moment to price gouge.
Professor Fels recommended making it an offence to charge excessive prices. Would the Australia Institute support that recommendation?
Yes, one of the, I think, very worthwhile recommendations of that was the acknowledgement that the ACCC at the moment really doesn't have much power over prices as such. It purely is about competition.
You actually empower a body, whether it's the ACCC or a new body, that actually has the power to say to Coles and Woolies and other organisations, show us your books.
Greg, you were right all along. They finally listened to you. How do you feel?
Yeah, look, I think this is really good legislation. I should point out, say the fine's $10 million. There's actually, it's at least $10 million is a good way of putting it, because
that's good.
There's 3 triggers essentially if they do these things, and it's the greater of $10 million, 3 times the benefit that the company received from the price gouging, or possibly up to 10% of their annual revenue.
Wow. So actually
they could
significant fines.
Big fines.
Yeah.
It really could kick in and hurt, which is great because it's got to. Otherwise, as we know, if it was 10 million, Coles and Woolies would sign that over and
be like, well, we made however much more.
Exactly. Yeah. What this legislation is, and this is what we've been explaining over the past couple of years, is that the ACCC, Australia's Competition and Consumer Commission, doesn't have power to look at prices. So people think, I'm getting ripped off. Why isn't the ACCC doing something? Well, it can't do anything, but it can only do things if it is charging prices fraudulently, like it sued Coles and Woolies, I think it was last year, for saying things were on special when they really weren't on special. Like they would put something up for a week, a price up for a week, and then they'd drop it and say, we've cut 10% off it. It's like, no, that's what you've been charging all year. It was just 1 week or 2 weeks or so. It was up a bit higher. So ACCC could only care about price if they did something illegally, or if Coles and Woolies got on the phone and said, hey, this week we're going to put Coke at $5.
Yeah, collusion.
Collusion.
Yeah.
Now, the problem with that is, as we've also pointed out, Coles and Woolies don't need to collude. They just are so comfortable with each other that it's without saying anything. Coles will have Coke on special this week, and Woolies will have Pepsi on special this week, and next week they swap. And they do that with so many different products, and they're not colluding because they haven't had any secret meetings about it. It's just they're very comfortable. So they're not really competing on price. So what this commission, this legislation is going to give the ACCC is the power to actually look at prices and force the companies to actually justify what they're charging. And if the ACCC believes that they're actually engaging in price gouging, and what they mean by that is saying they're charging for a significant period of time, so not just for a day or two or something like that. There's always going to be times where prices bump up and down for whatever reasons. But if they are systematically charging a price well above what they would be able to charge and still make a decent profit if there was actually a competitive market going on.
Which there isn't.
Yeah. So basically they're saying, like, even if Coles and Woolies are both doing it, they can't say, but we're charging the same price. They can say, no, you're both actually charging more for this than you would if there was actually a competitive environment. Because what they're essentially saying is, look, you guys have got essentially a duopoly. Now, we can't split you up. Divestiture powers. They could try, but again, it's a case of, okay, who's going to buy that supermarket? We got to find someone who's going to buy Aldi. You probably don't know. We don't want it. And are we going to get IGA to do it? They probably don't have the capacity. It's the scale of Australia with the transport costs and everything are such that, you kind of do need companies of the size of Coles and Woolies. The problem is we've got a huge country with huge things like transport costs. You think, well, that would make it harder for Coles and Woolies to make a profit, yet they're making bigger profits than, say, supermarkets in UK who don't have to worry about transporting stuff from Melbourne to Perth or things like that. So what they're essentially saying, look, we probably can't split you up. Yes, we'd like to get more competition in. That takes time, all of that. So because you guys are making such good profits, because you have this market power, we are going to have big oversight of you. And it's really only Coles and Woolies. It only applies to companies that have $30 billion more in turnover each year. So that's basically Coles and Woolies. And it's now saying, okay, it's not just about collusion. It's actually about what you guys are charging. And is that in line with what would be expected in a truly competitive environment? so you can still make a decent profit, still make no one is saying they can't make a profit, but it's, are you making excessive profits? Are you charging an excessive price over, a lengthy period of time such that it is, meaning that consumers are losing out. So good legislation, certainly in line with what we've been calling for a prices commission or to give the ACCC those powers. So, well done.
Yeah. And well done to you, Greg, for suggesting it in the first place. It was definitely all your idea.
Yeah, no one had ever thought of it until I just was lying in bed thinking, what could we do to fix this problem?
Yep.
No, I mean, and look, like with everything, you're not going to walk into Coles and suddenly everything's cheaper. But it will at least, you can't prevent what you don't have the power to actually even stop. And this at least gives the ACCC that power.
All right. Well,
that's a good note. We're ending on a positive note.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What the heck? Our listeners will be shocked. They'll be like, wait on, this can't be the end. Wait, where's the bad news? Why am I ending this podcast smiling? This is just wrong. This is not what I tuned into dollars and cents for. Happiness? Come on.
Look, the government's done something good. Let's just
One
be
thing
happy.
good. Yes.
Let's be happy about it.
Let's just focus on that and ignore the other things.
Until next week.
Until next week, yes.
Yep.
And we will be back with another dollars and cents next week, but this one was recorded on the 23rd of October. And some things may have changed. In fact, the next week, dollars and cents might be coming to you from the Revenue Summit that we are holding next week. Unfortunately, I can't offer any tickets because they are sold out.
Yay.
Woohoo! So I'm not sure what we're going to be doing next week, but there is inflation figures coming. So somehow I'm going to be on Wednesday writing a column about inflation figures while also being at the Revenue Summit. So nice cruisy day for me. Elinor will be spending all that day
I will be writing
filming.
questions while being at the Revenue Summit, yes.
So we will be back next week with that. We didn't talk about unemployment figures, but if you're interested in all of those, go to Guardian Australia's website, find my column where I basically, once again, slap the RBA around the ears, pointing out that they decided that we needed an extra 150,000 people unemployed. So if you're in the mood for something that will bring you down, go and read my column. Lots of graphs there. For more research, especially on supermarkets and grocery prices and all our appearances at Senate committees pushing for things like a prices commission, get yourself along to our website, which is at australiainstitute.org.au. Our music, as always, by Blue Dot Sessions. Everyone, have a great week. We shall see you all next week.
See ya.